He's very technical and cerebral. Box from here, box from there, box all over the place. The guy's nickname is Box. Is it not Joe Box Parker? Right?
Oh, man.
Right?
There you go.
The guy Box. That's it. Box. The least creative nickname in history, but it applies.
But it applies.
Joe Box Parker.
Welcome, fight fans, to Boxing Scene's Top Stories, only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George D. Metellus. Download the ProBox TV app where apps are available for the best insights when it comes to the sweet science. Download the ProBox TV app, and part of those great insights come from our world champions. We have Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi joining us here on Top Stories. Well, former WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker is the current frontrunner to challenge Daniel Dubois for the IBF heavyweight title on February 22nd. Now, this follows confirmation that Anthony Joshua will not pursue an immediate rematch with the IBF heavyweight champion, as reported by Boxing Scene's Matt Christie, saying, quote, "What you have seen with the matchmaking at Riyadh season is it will be one of the best, if not the best, available candidate. Parker isn't rated because he has another title, the WBO interim title, but ultimately, if you made the fight, they would take that into consideration. You can easily make the application and justification that he deserves to be rated." Okay, Paul, we know that Parker's career has gone through a renaissance over the last 12 months, beating Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. It seems like Parker should be next in line to fight Dubois.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't mind it. You know, Parker is a heavyweight style that is sort of tough to appreciate sometimes because you're used to watching these big heavyweights go to throw these big shots, and Parker is more of a technician. But also, Parker is sort of battle-tested. He's not shop-worn despite the longevity of his career. He's still relatively young in his early 30s. I think he's a good test for Dubois, honestly. Because Dubois, Parker is not something you see often in the heavyweight division. One of these kind of technicians he can beat you in a different way from the manner in which most heavyweights will attempt to beat you. So he keeps you thinking a little bit. He's a very cerebral fighter, and Dubois, it's something that we haven't seen him have to show yet. That cerebral part of a fight where he can navigate his way through a fight. We saw it a little bit at a high level against Joyce, but then he got beat. So, you know, Parker could be in this fight for the long haul where, you know, he sort of drags out from a technical standpoint despite Dubois' power, and where Dubois is going to have to think his way through if he's going to beat Parker. You know, you favor Dubois because of the momentum behind him, but really, there's nobody on Dubois' record that I can think of right now that really you can make a comparison and say, okay, Dubois can sort of handle that style. I can see it being a good fight, but I can see Dubois handling it. I can't really see somebody on Dubois' record that I'm thinking about offhand and say, okay, you know what, he could be ready. He could be ready to beat Parker pretty easily. This is not an easy fight, despite the lack of fanfare at times that Parker gets.
Yeah, Chris, what do you make of Joseph Parker being next in line for the IBF title against Dubois?
Champ, not only am I okay with it, I'm going to one-up you. I love this fight. I think this is great. You got a guy who's actually earned this position, who gets often overlooked. He's brought in as a B-side time and time again. Upsets the apple cart against Wilder. Upsets the apple cart against Zhilei Zhang. Two huge punchers. Knows how to fight these kinds of guys. Fought very, very smart. George, you mentioned he's had a recent renaissance. He is a completely different guy now. One of the most experienced guys in the weight class today, if you look at his resume. You look at the guys that he's been in the ring with. The guy he spent 12 rounds with. He is a force to be reckoned with. He deserves this shot. I think he's primed for it. And I agree with you, champ. It's a really tough fight for Dubois. Not an easy route for anyone in the heavyweight division, this new version of Joseph Parker. The guy's got a very good chin. He's got a great gas tank, good motor. He knows how to fight punchers. He's coming off of two humongous punchers in Wilder and Zhang. Granted, Wilder didn't fight the fight, doesn't look to himself, but Zhang sure did. Zhang dropped him twice. Parker got up and outboxed him. He's a very, very capable guy in there, even a heavyweight. He's a big guy, too. People forget. Yes, he's a technician. Yes, he's kind of crafty and will outmaneuver you. But he's big enough, durable enough to deal with these super heavyweight guys and a big punch like Dubois. Very, very tough fight. Good matchup. We're seeing a guy who actually deserves the shot getting the shot. I like it.
Yeah, and both of them now, Frank Warren confirming that both of them are contracted to Queensberry, so that'll make it easier in terms of a promotional standpoint there. Paulie, what's the biggest issue that Dubois, if they do fight, what is it about Parker's style or what he can do that gives Dubois the most problems?
You know, gee, that's a good question. You know, it's probably, you're looking at a multi-layered fighter when it comes to Parker. I think you're going to have to, Dubois is going to have to show us something that we may not have seen in him. We know he's got this reputation as an explosive, bulky type of fighter who can create highlight reel knockouts. But I think he's going to have to show some of the IQ, if there is any, there. And that's going to expose whether there is any or not. And if he's able to beat Parker because he's going to have to show this IQ in this fight, then we're going to be able to check off another one of the boxes in terms of how we rate Dubois and say, okay, he's even higher and even better level than we've given him credit so far. You know, it's another one of those check marks that you can say, okay, he's got this too. You know what I'm saying? Right now, as far as a high IQ fighter he faced, it was Usyk. He did pretty well, but he came up short. So this is yet another high IQ fighter that he's going to be dealing with. And, you know, obviously Usyk is the best of the creme de la creme. But nonetheless, Parker's an ex-heavyweight champion. You know, the champ, Chris, mentioned that, you know, he's just beaten Zhang and Wilder. He also went 12 full rounds, went the distance with Joshua in a title fight at a time where Joshua was stopping a lot of guys and was in his best form, you know. And Parker was very crafty and very tricky in that fight in Wales and went the distance. So he knows how to, again, like to reiterate what the champ said, he knows how to get in there with punchers. He knows how to deal with them. He knows how to beat them. But even if he doesn't beat them, he knows how to deal with them in a way where they're going to have to earn their money. So I don't think this is going to just come in, be one of those fights where Dubois can just walk in and hit you on the noggin and knock you out. You know, that's something Dubois sometimes does. And when you're blessed with that kind of power, you're able to do that at times. But I think with Parker, if you're going to hit this guy off his noggin and knock him out, you're going to have to, you know, be more intelligent about it and set it up in a way where he's not making you pay in a way where suddenly you find yourself behind on points and then you need a desperation knockout. Very curious about this fight. It could evolve in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, Chris, what specifically about Parker could give Dubois the most problems?
Parker's a banana peel. 100% banana peel, especially for a guy like Dubois. Champ, you mentioned Dubois' attempt against Usyk. Obviously, Usyk is otherworldly and virtuoso in terms of being a slick, smart. He's the best of the best. But Dubois gets confused and he gets frustrated by boxers. And Joe Parker's actually got a lot of ways to win. He's got a lot of ways he can fight. You know, he's in there. He'll change levels. He'll throw those looping shots. He'll smother you, put his head on your chest. He'll box from the outside. He'll move. He'll stand his ground. The guy has a lot of versatility, and I don't think Dubois has seen anyone anywhere near that, other than obviously Usyk. We saw how that showed up, and it was a lot of frustration, and it looked to me like he quit. So you got a guy like Joseph Parker, who, man, he's going to be in your face. He's almost like a gnat. He's constantly like, I can't get this guy. I can't get this guy out of my way. That kind of guy stays in your face and you're a big puncher and you can't get him out of there, that frustration is going to set in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we've seen Parker do that to these guys. He did it to Zhang. He did it to Wilder. I don't think he can do it to Dubois. Watch. We'll see.
But you know what? You make a good point, though. You know, he can box in different ways. He can box on the outside. He gets in close range, and he's very technical and cerebral. Box from here, box from there, box all over the place. The guy's nickname is Box. Is it not Joe Box Parker? Right?
Oh, man.
Right?
There you go.
The guy Box. That's it. Box. The least creative nickname in history, but it applies. Joe Box Parker.
Well, Joseph Parker, if he does fight Daniel Dubois, will be riding a 5-fight winning streak and certainly is one of the main title contenders for a heavyweight belt, in this case, the IBF title. So should be interesting to see what happens, and hopefully they make it for February 22nd. We'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting. Joseph Parker versus Daniel Dubois. If it gets closer to confirmation of that fight, we will let you know here on Top Stories. Just a quick reminder to scan the QR code, like and subscribe. Leave your comments here on our YouTube channel. And don't forget, November 9th, ProBox TV's Contender Series from Kissimmee, Florida live. You can see it on the app. You can see it on YouTube. Nicholas Floss versus Christian Gomez, the main event on ProBox TV. I'm George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
ProBox TV Contender Series. It's Puerto Rico versus Mexico as Nicholas Nico Floss returns to the ProBox ring to take on Christian Ninote Gomez. Darrell Blast Val Saint looks to keep his undefeated record against Angel Relampago Ruiz. And don't miss former world champion Jojo Diaz as he returns to the ring in search of glory.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.